Okay, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Flipping Jigs TV. The point of this channel is to show you guys how to catch big bass on a budget. I'm your host, Nick Hewitt, and let's get into the intro. Now that you guys are through the intro, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to catch big bass at night. Now, first thing when it comes to night fishing, you got to know how to target these fish and how to find these big bass at night. The way this is done most of the time, people go shallow. At night, the fish tend to move up, especially summertime right now. That's when you're going to be night fishing, I hope. But in the summertime, when you're night fishing, basically you want to target these fish up shallow. These big bass come down from the deep depths that they stay at in the daytime and come up to the shallows to feed on bait fish, crawfish, etc., whatever it may be. Now, the way you want to target these fish is go shallow around grass, points, and rocks. These are the three major things that you need to hit when you're fishing. Now, when I'm throwing around grass or just fishing a drop off or point, a lot of times if I'm fishing it, I got two different things that we're throwing. I'll be throwing one thing, my partner will be throwing the other thing, and those two things are these two lures right here. Alright, and that is a big worm. Now, this worm is a 10-inch, I believe this is a zoom or something. I don't know which worm this is, but it's a big 10-inch worm. Most of the time I'm throwing a June bug or something darker color. You want a darker color and a big presentation at night. That way the fish can really find that lure and eat it, and you can put a 10-pounder in your boat. But yeah, so the first thing that one of us is throwing at all times is a big worm. Next thing is a jig. Now, when it comes to jig fishing, I'm doing one or two things. I'm fishing the drop-offs hard, I throw it around grass, and I throw it big time around rocks. That's where this thing shines. Now, sometimes I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce, sometimes I'm throwing lighter than that. And I don't really like to throw anything but a football jig or a structure jig. The reason being is because if you throw a flipping jig or something like that, you're probably gonna get hung up. But this football jig stays out in the water, it doesn't get hung up very easily, and this is what you need. Now, when it comes to trailer rods for this jig, I'll be throwing a bigger size trailer. This one is actually not as big as I would usually be throwing. Most of the time this jig trailer would be down to here. I would rather be throwing a bigger jig trailer, that way it's a bigger presentation. Like I said, the thing about a jig is when you're fishing these rocks, and the way you work this jig is you hop it. So when it's hopping, it's doing this. That's what it's doing on the rocks. It's making that noise. What that does is sends the vibration to the fish's lateral line and helps them find it a lot easier. Now, do I think that's a big key in night fishing? I truly do, because I've had a lot of success on this jig, a lot more than the big worm. Sometimes they'll be eating the jig better than they do the big worm. Sometimes it's the other way around. A lot of times if they ain't eating the jig, they're eating the big worm, and vice versa. Now, colors for the jig: black and blue, solid black, any kind of darker color. You want it as bulky as you can possibly get it. So I'm usually throwing this on a 7'6" heavy action. This is a proficiency rod that I actually picked up at Walmart. Give it a shot, and it actually does pretty good. There will be a full review on this rod coming up soon. So y'all stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and there will be more videos to help you guys catch your PB this year. Now, next thing I throw a lot is a Topwater. This year it has not been on, but I have had some great success in Topwater. I love this black and yellow spook. When you're throwing Topwater, you basically want a dark color, because what it does is the sky at night is the brightest thing that's out there. And basically when the fish are under the water and this figure comes across it, that black figure really gives an outline so they can really track that bait down and eat it efficiently. The blacker, the better. Another thing, as far as Topwater go, you can throw any kind of Topwater you want at night. It just depends on what the fish are doing. I like to throw a frog around grass and like maybe some hard cover somewhere, like a bunch of brush or some trees or something like that, real shallow. Buzz baits, whopper ploppers, spooks, you name it, you can throw it. Like I said, this year it has not been it. The next thing I want to talk about is a spinnerbait. Now this isn't a normal spinnerbait like you would normally see with the two blades and stuff like that. That's not the way to do it at night. The way I've had the most success out of all of these lures in this spinnerbait, and I actually don't have one on me today. I have to pick up some more because I actually lost it the last time I was night fishing to a fish. But basically what this does is it's got a big spinnerbait with a big Colorado blade on it, and that's creating a lot of thump, helping the fish really key in on that bait and take it down like they need to. Now, when you're throwing this bait, you want it to be, most of the time, the specific spinnerbait that I'm using is a Strike King Midnight Special. You can go down in the affiliate link down below and pick one up for yourself. I definitely recommend it. They put a PB in your boat this summer. Now, this spinnerbait is black and blue. It's got a big Colorado blade, giving off a lot of thump. How I fish this bait is crazy to me, because it seems like no matter where you throw it, you got a good chance of getting bit. So that's what I do. I take it, if I'm around the point, I fish the point efficiently with the spinnerbait. Now sometimes I'll keep it toward the top, I'll keep it mid-range, and then I'll keep it bottom-wise. Really depends on what the fish are at. You will have to figure that out as you fish. But most success that I've had on the spinnerbait is throwing it on a point or some grass and letting it go down, you know, almost to the bottom, if not on the bottom, and then I just slow roll it. And a lot of times at night, what I have noticed they will do is they will come up and hit the blade before they actually hit the bait. So a lot of times when you're working this bait, you're reeling it, you'll feel him hit it and he'll miss it, but don't just reel it in and cast back out. Just keep slow rolling it. Don't stop it. And then after you feel that, give it one little twitch or something like that. And what that does is make the skirt flare, and they're used to seeing that. It's in their DNA. That's what crawfish do. That's what shad do. They flare when they get in chase. So what that does is creates a flare, and it attracts to get that bite. Now, these spinnerbaits have gave me the most success out of any bait out there. It's done me well. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about fishing at night is safety. This is the #1 priority. At night, you always want to have your navigation lights on at all times. Now, sometimes when I'm back in a cove, I will cut my navigation lights off, but I make sure I'm deep in there when nobody else is coming, and if I hear a boat even close to me, I go and flip them back on. Now, when I'm running, I keep my navigation lights on at all times. This being said, because I don't want you guys to be like, hey, I never night fish, let me go out here and do it wrong and end up getting hurt. So another thing is make sure your navigation lights are on at all times. Even when it's dusky dark, you want to have them things on. Same thing, just like fishing early in the morning, you want them navigation lights on so you will not get ran over. That's the last thing you want. What I'm usually doing when I'm fishing at night is I'm trying to find that big bass. How do you do it? Now, I know what you guys are saying.
You're like, dude, you just go out there and fish and hope you catch a big one. Wrong.
Come on, wrong. Well, right, but wrong. You have to really target these big fish. Know where they're gonna be at. So, these big fish are staying deeper during the day and coming up shallow at night. That does not mean they're gonna be shallow. That means drop-offs. Drop-offs are key to night fishing. When you're throwing that spinnerbait, that worm, that jig, whatever lure you're throwing, when you come across that drop-off, that is your best chance to get smoked by a 5+ pound bass. Now, sometimes you catch them off dock, sometimes you catch them off grass, sometimes you catch them on drop-off. I mean, it's kind of, you just have to get lucky. But what I have had the most success in is fishing these drop-offs efficiently, and do not fish them wrong. A lot of people will hit these points and stay right up on the points where they can cast to the bank. Wrong, don't do that. Find that drop-off, fish the drop-off. This will give you the most success, I promise you. These bigger fish do not come up there and get shallow like you're thinking. They do sometimes, but a lot of times they stay right under that drop-off. So when them bait fish swim off of that edge, they come up, crush them, go back down. That's the way this works. So if you found anything useful on this video today, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video. There will be more tips and tricks, an affiliate link in the description down below where you can go and pick yourself up one of these midnight special spinnerbaits. I promise it is worth it.
Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to catch these big bass like I do. You got to be sure to get you a rod, get you a jig, just sling it out there and set the hook, and there he is. It's a 5-pounder just like that, guys. So be sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Flippin' Jigs TV.